Hello all, GC13 here. Welcome to video number 2 of our Prison Architect Alpha 14 tutorial. But before I do anything here, I just want to see they don't have much time left to eat. I want to make sure everybody's gotten a chance to eat. They haven't, so I'm going to lengthen the eating time a little bit. And also I went a little bit crazy with the sleep time when I was setting up the regime. They're not going to go to sleep before 10, so it's pointless to order them to their cells before 10. And also, our beloved objects planning is bugged. Every time you save and load, it will turn into plain ordinary walls. I think we can deal with that. Anyway, send everybody out of the canteen now, except for these guys who are just relaxing. They're not ordered to eat anymore. And mostly we are just waiting for some research to get done and maybe for a little bit of construction. Let's see, let's go back to that needs report. See, right now only a couple people need fresh clothing. They have just got to the prison after all, but it's not gonna stay true for too long. So I know I initially said I wanted a workshop up here, but I'm thinking maybe I'd prefer it down here. It's going to be closer to the delivery zone, and also it'll make some use of this area. So we can just stack a couple workshops down here, which gives us lots of room to play with up here for common room, laundry, and cleaning cupboard. Now again, the common room it serves a vital function, but I could put these TVs out here in the yard, or I could put them in the canteen. There are other places to put it. I just prefer to use the common room for that. The laundry, however, is the only place to go to get your prisoners' uniforms cleaned, and the cleaning cupboard, it isn't crucial. In fact, it can be a source of problems if you don't do stuff like anywhere on the outside of your prison be marked as staff only, because otherwise, if I had a cleaning cupboard and I had a prisoner assigned to it, they might very well be ordered, go to the warden's office and clean it out. It's looking pretty grungy, as in fact it is. As soon as they get to this square, however, they are not constrained by fences anymore, and they realize they have a free exit, and then they will start to run away from the prison, and that would be an escape, and that would hurt our valuation, and that would mean that we get a lot less money when we sell this prison. And if you look down here, it says that I have passed by having at least 20 prisoners on site. I don't know where it got that idea, because I very clearly only have 8. So we're gonna do a little bit of planning. Like I said, we do have the room for the workshop up here. We're just not going to choose to use it. Maybe we'll have solitary wings somewhere over here. So we'll give a bit of room, and we'll just build here. So if we make that our cleaning closet, that'll give us 40 square meters. That's enough to have 10 people working on the cleaning closet. That should be enough. If we need to make it bigger, we'll just expand it eastward. That will not be a problem. And we will have a even larger laundry. 56. You don't need too many people in the laundry. Again, we can expand the building if it comes down to it. And then the rest of it will be a pretty large common room, to be honest. But we'll just get that started on. Your workmen realize that they have an order, and they're going to go and grab their stuff and get to it. And meanwhile, the needs for all of our maximum security prisoners are falling because we're not placing any demands on their time. Really, there's no reason to choose the nothing option for the regime. That orders them to their cells and locks them in. You would only do that if you, for some reason, like had to knock the fence down during the day. I believe that would render that safe. It would be very foolish to do that otherwise, as you would then have a mass escape attempt, which would hopefully fail. Hopefully your guards would be able to get them all in time, especially with the brand new K9 units that we're going to get in. Those guys, like I said, are much, much quicker. And the prisoners can easily run away from an ordinary guard because the guard has no way to stop them. But those K9s will just grab them and they won't let go. So just run it up here. I'm running it along the top because that's where the laundry machines are going to go. Running my cable. And we will go ahead and mark this. And this. No, I won't mark the laundry just yet. Again, I'm going to be petty. I want tables in there first so that the uniforms don't go on the dirty floor, even though the doesn't matter to the game whether it goes on the floor or not. See, that's me. I'm the warden. I have to think of these things if the game's not gonna. Let's see here. We'll actually bump back their feeding time. 2 hours. I also warn you guys about the canteen. I have not seen this problem, however others have, where the cooks are not able to keep up with their Alpha 13 selves. My rule of thumb has always been 1 cook and 1 cooker for every 16 prisoners, and that's still suited me well from my attempts at testing in this alpha, but other people have observed that it's not enough for them anymore, and they've had to double that at least. And it's very difficult to know what is actually going on there. But just be advised, you may be able to get away with the 1 cook for 16 prisoners. You might have a problem. Other people might have a problem with that. So just keep an eye on it. And we're just all crossing our fingers and hoping that everything makes sense again in Alpha 15. Which again is going to be later than usual. It's not going to happen until late November. But again, this is a very, very large update, so I think it'll give us stuff to play with for quite some time. Just had to run that direct water to the laundry machine. And we're going to go ahead. We have dogs approved. Next thing I want is... we'll go ahead and set prison policy. Then we'll do contraband, and then finally that. Okay. Now we'll do groundskeeping. So I'm going to go ahead and hire 2 janitors because this place is filthy. And we'll also go to jobs. We'll put 2 people in the laundry and 6 people in the cleaning cupboard. I tend to, you really only need 1 person in the laundry for every cell block you have. Maybe a bit more, especially if you have larger cell blocks like I have now. But also I'm starting off with 2, just... It's a statistical thing. There are probabilities involved, and it's fine. Laundry will be ready, and I can include a bit of work in tomorrow's schedule. So we'll set them to... We'll give them all free time in the morning, and then we will have them work for just 4 hours after they eat. Because they've only been here a little while, we want to let them take it easy. Don't want to work them too hard at the very beginning. For instance, we have guys with serious complaints right now. It's probably the ones who are tired. Yep. And that'll get taken care of. Like, as soon as 10 rolls around, they will go to their cells, and they'll take a bit of a nappy time. We can dismantle this stuff and move it to the common room, where we can see that the TVs now operate under they're powered the same way that the lights are powered, with these indirect little cables will propagate out of the electric cables to them. And we'll actually put some phone booths in the canteen too, since they have to be in the canteen during eat, whether they're actually eating or not. We'll give them something useful to do during that time by giving them some phone booths. So we'll put 2 phone booths in here, and we'll order a brand new phone booth so that we can put 2 in here as well, and we'll move all 3 of our TVs into the common room. And you know what? I didn't build a pool table in my last prison, so we'll put one in here. We'll put in a pool table for him. Well, let's actually research on that first. Anyway, let's do some kennel. We need canines. And since I don't need all of this extra electrical cable out here, I'll just apparently have to manually click on it. We'll just get all that up so we can use it on later jobs. Or we could just destroy it. That works too, I guess. But really, who cares? We have canine units now. Let's see what they look like. We have a couple nice. You can see the sprite is mirrored, so if it's looking one way, we'll actually have 4, because the rule of thumb with the canine units is for every 2 patrols you have, you want to have at least 3 canines, because they'll work for about 4 hours straight, but then they need to come back to a dog crate to rest for 2 hours before they are able to go back on patrol. So let's go to deployment so we can figure out where we want these guys. I know I want. So I can set down a patrol with either guard patrols or dog patrols, so just to show you, I'll set down a normal guard patrol here. And this will be to try to catch anybody tunneling out, and this will be just to catch anybody escaping. So I go to dog patrols to assign canines to these, and boom, 1 canine on each square. Or on each patrol, and then I have 2 in reserve. And one interesting thing with the canines is they do cost 500 to hire, but they do not seem to add to your daily wages. Oh, apparently I have an extra phone booth. Did I not dismantle it? No, I did not. Anyway, the reason I chose to put the canine on this directly adjacent to the cell block is you saw how the dog like to dig there. They'll dig on, I think it's 2% of the squares they pass over. It's random, but also they like to dig over any tunnels they pass over. And if they're walking over a tunnel square that happens to have a prisoner tunneling in it at the moment, they will actually dig that prisoner up. And then they'll catch him. So that's why I have a patrol right there, because their most likely path would be, at this point, up here. They'll just they'll just go straight out here. So I really should expand the patrol to include here. So I'm going to do that as soon as I quit misclicking over and over. There. I have expanded the patrol so that he can catch these guys here. But most of them are going to ignore these pipes because although you get a bonus for digging along them, it's still much easier just to dig out to here and then to free dirt rather than dig through this concrete, which is a pain to dig through. So I'm figuring most of them are going to be out here when they tunnel. If we have any tunnels. We might not, having so few prisoners right now. Anyway, we need to get room for some more prisoners. Oops. Let's see here. That will be 8 new guys. And as soon as we complete all of these cells, we will complete the grant for having at least 15 prisoner capacity, and we'll get 10,000 more. So that'll defray some of the cost of putting these cells in, which they're going to be pricey. I'm not going to lie, but we've already spent almost half of the money putting in the bed and the toilet. So putting in the walls won't be too much of a problem. Let's see, how hungry is everyone? Because we're not going to have a morning meal. Again, since we're taking in prisoners that are a very large amount of prisoners relative to our current amount, 8 new prisoners, and we have 8, so we're doubling our capacity. We're going to want to try to keep everybody as happy as we can get them. And while they're working on that, I just want to go ahead and turn this into a security room. Again, the security rooms don't really do anything except tell your guards, hey, I want you guys to hang out in here. You know, this is right by the exit, so I figure this is a particularly good spot for them to be hanging out. If anybody makes a break for it, we'll have not only the K9 units to deploy, but some guards as well, because they'll be waiting around in the security room. And we'll just get these walls in, and we'll mark these as cells, and we'll be ready for our guys. Again, I'll probably spend a little bit of time in the holding cell. That's not a big deal. Low danger level, and it's going to go down just as soon as we get these showers taken care of. I always have my prisoners shower in the morning. Like I said, they had a fairly low danger level, all things told. But they did have some critical hygiene needs, and like I said, if I were to set it to free time, they wouldn't get out of bed. They would just sleep in until probably 8 or so. They'd sleep in for quite some time. Anyway, let's get these jail doors in. And then I can show you how to zone your cells and how not to. I can't show you one way not to zone them, which would have been for me to mark the cells before putting the walls down. What that would do is, even after the walls were put in, it would regard it, at least in Alpha 13, it would regard it as one giant cell, even after the walls went in. So that would be bad. Also, another way not to zone your cells, I'll wait for this guy to finish, is not to do that. Again, I got the hallway in there, so it regards it as one giant cell. I don't want to do that because the cell is not enclosed, because the door square is, like I said, that doesn't count. So you can either do them individually, in which case it'll work, or once the walls go in, you can do it all up and down. Oh, and I was able to get all of them in before the prisoners showed up. That's good. but like I said, it's easier to just do it that way, and we have 8 prisoners coming again tomorrow. That will mean I need a whole new cell block, but since I got the $10,000 from completing that grant, I do have enough money to do that. And then I will probably also have enough money to maybe think about my workshop. However, if I do not have enough to think about my workshop, I still have the health and well-being grant, which will be enough to get me started. To complete the health and well-being grant, I will have to spend $500 researching health, but once that's done, I'll only have to spend $2,000 hiring the 2 doctors and $500 to put in the medical bed, and then I will get $10,000 for having accepted the grant and another $10,000 for completing it. So that'll be plenty of money to get my workshop started, even if I spend all this $20,000 on my next batch of cells. So I'm not too worried. I think we'll be able to expand quite nicely, and that's the name of the game with Prison Architect. At least when you're starting your first prison, you have to think in advance about how are you going to get the income source necessary to keep your prison growing. Afterwards, you can, once you've got your workshops going, you can think about eventually selling the prison. You can only sell the prison once. However, you can see even now we would start with an extra $80,000 to, so we would start with $90,000 plus the grants on our brand new prison, and that would get us pretty far. See, cash on hand is being counted fully. I'm not sure. I think that the bricks and mortar and fixtures and fittings are counted fully as well. I would have to check that. In fact, I will and toss that up in an annotation. But it's just every dollar you spend on your prison plus bonuses for having prisoner capacity. Pretty much the only way you're losing money is by paying staff. So you really only need to worry about the workshops on your first prison, but the workshop is very crucial for your first prison, and I can't stand these poor guards having to stand around in the dark, so I'm gonna order that taken care of. And you just saw down here a canine unit handoff. This dog got a little bit too tired, and so did this one, and so they just swapped off. Like I said, I have two canines for every canine patrol. Right now, I could get away with only having 3 of these guys. There would have been a brief period where I only had 1 patrol with a unit on it, but after they got their schedules worked out, I would always have 1 in the kennel and 2 on patrol. Like I said, it's actually, they work for a little bit more than 4 hours, and they sleep for a little bit more than 4 hours, but it's pretty much a 2-to-1 ratio. And, you know what? I think this is a pretty good ending point. We have 16 prisoners now. We have 8 more on the way tomorrow, and we do have the money to keep on expanding. So, yep, just look out for the video later in the week, and we will keep this prison growing. I've been GC13. Happy building.